Today I'm just going for a cruise. No real place to go, nowhere to be, just the open road in the middle of the week. Weekday morning, roads are quiet. It is so beautiful out here. Let's go for a cruise. Let's go. Camera though. I rode as a passenger for a few years before wanting to get my own bike. I grew up with quads, ATVs, four-wheelers, whatever you want to call them. In my family, we called them quads. Then I got a dirt bike, an XR200. It was so fun. Well, I really hated kicking it. I had to kickstart it. And there was no other option, and I really hated that part. I always said my favorite part was riding on the road to get to the trails up the street. Anyway, I got sick of riding as a passenger on the back of Justin's Sporty, and so I mentioned to Justin's dad, my father-in-law. If you're familiar with the channel, then you know him. I mentioned wanting to get my own bike, and so then he took me out to the shed and showed me this XS 650 that was just sitting there. It was a mess, and I loved it, and that's my first motorcycle. That's what you're looking at here. We all began the hard work of cleaning her up. I started to dream up designs and aesthetics. If I had a bike, what would I want it to look like? Except I did have a bike and I got to plan exactly how it looked. So I started to learn how to ride a motorcycle. Not much different from a dirt bike, but of course there's like rules of the road that you have to understand. And so it's like pretty different. I practiced on Justin's Sportster. That was hard. That had its challenges. It was heavy, and the levers, like both levers, the clutch and the brake, were super hard for me to pull in. And first gear did not want to be first gear. The bike does not want to be in first gear, and I was practicing, so I was going slow. And it's fine. It happened. It got me to where I am now, and I'm grateful for that bike, but like, it's not my bike. I took a beginner's rider's course and then got my license. It really was that easy here in Massachusetts. By then, my bike was ready to go. She passed her first state inspection and we really got to know each other. Here's the thing. I try really hard not to let fear and anxiety get the best of me. But it's part of the human experience, right? It's a practice to keep your mind right. Well, after a few seasons of riding, I let other people's fears become my own. The voice in my head saying, "You're gonna die on that thing," was not my voice. But it took over, and it actually physically took over. It made me a bad rider. I was stiff, I was anxious, and I simply could not enjoy the ride. So I stopped. For 3 years, I didn't ride. Oh hey, so this street that I'm turning on, my Uncle John lived on this street, my mom's brother. I think about him all the time. He loved John Wayne, the cowboy. There's a John Wayne quote that goes, "Courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway." It wasn't until last summer where I could see myself riding again. Long story short, a deer ran out in front of my car when I was going about 75 on the highway. The deer died on impact and my car was totaled. Killing an animal is one of the worst things I can imagine myself doing. Seriously, like, I don't even eat meat. I know how lucky I am that I didn't get hurt or hurt another human. Like, I'm so grateful for that. But this shook me. Some days later, I was in my shed grabbing the lawnmower or something, and I saw my bike. I sat there and just stared at her. The worst thing I can imagine already happened. I killed a perfect, beautiful creature. That happened. Why am I not riding this bike that I love and that has brought me so much joy? I understand this logic may not make sense to you, but I'm telling you, I sat there that day in my shed and decided to saddle up because I'm done being scared to live. For me, riding a motorcycle is freedom, it's truth, it's complete awareness, it's grounding, sometimes terrifying, yeah, sure, and so fun. That's the bottom line, I suppose. Everything will kill you, might as well make it fun. Awesome ride. The roads are getting kind of busy now. It makes sense because it's like a little afternoon. It's like, I want to say 65, which is so nice because it's been pretty chilly. And I just had a great ride. If you're into this style content and want to see more, click subscribe because I'll definitely be making more.